Welcome back. We are continuing our breaking news coverage of a bombshell report from Politico saying that they have obtained a draft opinion from the United States Supreme Court pronouncing that it is going to overturn Roe versus Wade. Not narrow it, overturn Roe versus Wade. That would mean that each individual state would now get to decide if it wants to legalize abortion or not. Up to this point, many of the debates around the country have centered around how to draw the line. The United States Supreme Court has struggled in previous opinions with exactly where that line would be. But it has been clear that onerous restrictions, things like the law in Mississippi, which bans abortions after 15 weeks, would not have passed muster under previous United States Supreme Court rulings. Now, with this opinion, it will be entirely up to the states to decide what their rules should be, ought to be, with regard to abortion. Now, to be clear, again, I think it's important that we stress that this is a draft opinion. It has somehow been leaked. It doesn't mean that this is necessarily the final opinion, but someone obviously had a motivation here to leak this. Was it someone who is a conservative who wants to make sure that none of the five change their votes? Was it someone who's a liberal who wants to try to put pressure on one of the five justices to try to change their vote? We don't know any of that. I do know that it has never happened before that you have this kind of leak coming out of the United States Supreme Court. I'm going to now read you a little bit more from the Politico article in this bombshell report. And it says that, and they explain that justices hold preliminary votes on cases shortly after argument and then assign a member of the majority to write it. The draft is often amended in consultation with other justices. And in some cases, justices change their votes altogether. And that is why I am so interested, curious about how this got leaked. I don't know that we'll ever know. Now, the Chief Justice typically assigns majority opinions on a case like this. And Judge Alito, who it seems wrote this draft opinion, skewered Roe versus Wade. This was not a tinkering with, well, we think that there are issues. This is an all-out repudiation of the Roe versus Wade decision. The Constitution does not prohibit the citizens of each state from regulating or prohibiting abortion. And it then goes on. Roe expressed the feeling that the 14th Amendment was the provision that did the work, but its message seemed to be that the abortion right could be found somewhere in the Constitution and that specifying its location was not of paramount importance. Basically, Alito there saying that it has been discussed that this right comes from the 14th Amendment, but he says it's unclear exactly where in the 14th Amendment that comes from. Alito talked about this issue of viability. A minute ago, I was saying that many of the previous opinions have been battles over exactly where to draw that line. And Alito has declared in this draft opinion that the viability distinction between fetuses not capable of living outside the womb and those which can, quote, makes no sense. Now, I will say that in the opinion, Alito has, and this is the kind of thing that I think would end up getting changed before the final opinion comes down, because he refers to doctors and nurses who terminate pregnancies as abortionists. And the only reason I say that that could get changed is I think that the court is going to want to try to not be seen as making judgments, political judgments, as opposed to making a decision about a legal ruling. But again, Judge Alito describing this Roe versus Wade as egregiously wrong, and I cannot emphasize enough how unusual it is that this has been leaked. That is part of the story here tonight. is the fact that this Supreme Court draft opinion, which only a handful of people would have had their hands on, has somehow been leaked tonight to Politico, who is now reporting in its entirety about what this draft opinion says. Let's take a break. We will continue our show, our breaking news coverage. A lot going on. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.